Just get curious about the story in front of you, the people in front of you, the depth of them, their likes, their preferences, the way that they spend their time together. And I promise you, as a result, you'll be creating much more powerful photos. Hey, welcome back to another episode of the Shine and Thrive Photography Podcast. Today is a little bit of a quick one with a quick tip for sessions. If you are watching on YouTube, you're going to actually see the photo examples that I'm going to share when I mention them. But if you're just listening on the podcast, you can also click the link in the show notes. And I've created an Instagram post where you can actually see each of them so you can refer to that because I want to take care of my podcast peeps too. So, this episode was inspired by a session that I had recently. It was a half and half session where half we started off at the couple's home, and then the other half we went to a waterfront kind of trail that they usually go to with their dog. And for this session specifically, their dog has unfortunately like a really chronic illness where they have to take extra special care of the dog day in, day out. And I knew this because of the engagement session questionnaire that I sent them before the session. So this questionnaire helps me really understand the couple as like a unit, as like a couple, and also each person as an individual so that I know how to actually approach photographing them in a way that feels very authentic and real to them. And I can like feel into the layers of their relationship, and just understanding them on that level helps me feel inspired on the session to know how to approach it. So, if you want those actual questions that I ask couples to be able to be so well prepared for every session, you can click the link in the show notes or in the description if you're watching on YouTube and grab those for free from me, by the way. So, during this session, we're at their house and I finished photographing everything that I felt like I got. And I was ready to leave with them for phase two of their session, which was going outside on the trail by the waterfront. And then I asked them, I'm like, is there anything else that you two like to do here in your living room or in your home or how you spend your time together? Is there anything else that comes to mind before we move on? Is there anything that I'm missing? I just asked that question. And I'm so happy I asked that question because it's something I would not have known. And it came so quickly to them, which was, oh, actually, something we randomly do is we lay down on our dog and cuddle him and use him as a pillow together. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that is adorable. I would have never even thought to prompt them to do that in like a prompt, right? Because you just don't think about it. I don't know. Do people lie down on their dogs? I don't know. And so I'm like, okay, let's do it. So we like kind of like laid their beautiful husky Simba, his name was Simba, down on the carpet, and I made sure it was in the right direction so I could get good light on their faces. And they went ahead and spooned on the dog and used the dog as a pillow, and it's like one of the cutest photos. And so you can see it here on YouTube now, or you can see it in the show notes of the podcast in my Instagram post. But so yeah, that one question really brought out a photo opportunity that is so unique. Firstly, it's unique for me as like a portfolio piece, and it gets me excited because it has so much more layers and depth and meaning behind it. But most importantly, it's definitely going to be a meaningful photo to you, or to them, to you, to the couple, because at the end of the day, we all want to do the best job we possibly can for our couples, our clients. And if we ask these questions, then if they respond with something, sometimes they don't. Sometimes people are like, no, this is good. And that's it. That's cool. You just flow with that too. But if they do say something like this, how much more amazing do you feel leaving the session and then also delivering the photos that, oh, like I really got that one special thing that I know is meaningful to them. It just gives us like a huge confidence boost in knowing that we're delivering something that will make them really happy. So that's the first example. The second example was from a session I shot years ago, maybe it was about 4 years ago. And I knew that the couple liked to go on the boat together because at the time they lived up north in Muskoka. And they're like, oh, yeah, like sometimes at sunset we like to go out on the boat together. And something at like a question came up in my mind, and I'm like, okay, I should ask them, okay, but what do you like to do together on the boat? Is there anything specific? And my mind went, oh, just like just driving the boat around and that's it? Or do you park the boat and do you just read books together, right? Like my mind was circling with these thoughts of what activities they do. And they're like, oh, we like to just pick up our rods and just go fishing. And I'm like, what? I would not have known this. I'm like, okay, guys, let's go get your rods. It was like literally almost the end of the session. The sun was almost already down. And this is where I'm like, really, oh, yeah, what else do you like to do together? And they're like, yeah, fishing. So we went on the boat and we they took out their rods. I again, that's the moment I take to find the right spot for composition, for lighting, and they parked the boat and I just flowed with my inspiration from that moment. I just flowed with it. Something told me, okay, guys, stand back to back. I think it was just because of the composition, the way the lighting was hitting, the I wanted to have a more artistic flair to the photo rather than being exactly quote unquote how they would stand when they're actually fishing together. I want it to be a little bit more artsy than that. And I just flowed with it. And you'll see this photo. It's like one of my favorite photos ever it's one of my top favorite engagement photos ever in 13 years. And it's just such a like a memory of their time together then as a couple. And now it's like all these years later, they have two kids now. They live in a totally different place. And so I'm just so happy that they have this photo to remember that time in their lives before they had kids, when they had all this free time to just go out on the boat at sunset and go fishing. And they have that photo to remind them of that. And the next photo is one where it's like kind of like a prompt that a lot of photographers use, including myself, which is like, hey, can one person lead the other person? So you get that like, well, you can see it in this photo, like the separation between the couple and you get the beautiful like scenery around them. I really love this prompt, but the way that I take this prompt further of one person leading the other person is asking them right before I take that photo is, hey, random question. Who's more likely in the relationship to be the one to say, let's go? And I like show, like, I visually am like pretending I'm grabbing someone's arm and saying, let's go to pull the other person. And then it's not all the time, but usually one of them is, oh, yeah, that's me. Right. And it's like, okay, amazing. Like, why not make that photo even more authentically them? Where it's, yeah, the person leading and pulling the other person while they're walking or running is actually the person in the relationship to do that most often. So, yeah, you can see this photo here. It's of the couple and their dog. And it's just such an easy way to make the prompt more deep and meaningful and authentic. And then lastly, this last photo is from a session I recently photographed. Again, we started in their home, and then the second half of their session, we ended up on her parents' farm where there were horses and animals, and she rides horses, and it was so amazing and epic. But we started here in their home, and we did a lot of amazing, cute photos on their front porch. Their house is like a little old school, charming house in a small town. We did some photos in their backyard, and as we're leaving the house, I'm like, I asked that question. Is there anything else that you would love documented here? Is there anything else that you guys like to do when you spend your time here together? And she's like, actually, sometimes I just like I sit on the counter here and we just like interact and we have some drinks and we spend our time here. So could we get a photo on the kitchen counter? And I'm like, yes, thank you for telling me. And even though the light was super like crappy there, it doesn't matter to me because it's the memory of how they spend their time in their first house together that I want them to remember. 40, 50 years from now, I want them to look back at this photo and really feel like that's how we used to spend our time together. I used to just sit on the counter, we used to have drinks, we used to cuddle. And so this is that final photo where it literally took me 1 minute. I was like, oh, sit here, you lean into her. And I got that one photo in 1 minute. And then we left for phase two of the session. So that's it for this episode. I hope that it inspired you to ask more intentional questions during your sessions. This can apply to family sessions too. This can apply to branding sessions. Just get curious about the story in front of you, the people in front of you, the depth of them, their likes, their preferences, the way that they spend their time together. And I promise you, as a result, you'll be creating much more powerful photos. So remember, you can grab my engagement session questions for my questionnaires that I send couples below in the description, in the show notes. Grab that for free. And if you like this episode, please share it on Instagram, share it with a photographer friend. I would be so grateful. Tag me on Instagram in your stories at Sarah Monica Photo so I can give you some love back and say, oh my gosh, thank you for sharing and so great for connecting. And that's pretty much it. I will see you in the next episode.